Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 4, and this is going to be my review for Episode 6, otherwise entitled When the Lights Come On, which I had no idea what that episode title meant going into the episode. I was like, is that meant to be like, oh, people start thinking or something like that, which I guess makes sense for one aspect of this episode, but then obviously when we get to the end of the episode, I'm like, oh, it's like literal, like when the lights come on. Okay, I know what they're talking about now. But of course, spoiler for everything we go over in this episode, because in this video, might I say, because we're going to be talking about everything spoilerific from this episode. So if you haven't watched it, go away. What are you doing here? But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts in this episode. What'd you like? What did you dislike? What'd you love? What did you hate? Overall thoughts in the episode. What would you give it out of 10? And any theories and predictions moving forward? Maybe just leave your favorite moment as well in the comments. Always curious to what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, but maybe if you enjoy the episode as well, drop a like on the video to show your support. So last episode, the two big things that really happened that carry on into this episode in regards to the actions of one character in particular, that being Lex Luthor, was of course the relationship with his daughter completely crumbling and pretty much being non-existent going forward from that point, because he's so dead set on getting revenge on Lois Lane that it clouds any other relationship and thing in Lex Luthor's life. So that relationship or potential relationship with his daughter Elizabeth is, well, gonzo, you'd have to assume. Obviously we have a few more episodes after this one, but you'd have to assume that that's not going to be happening again. And then of course Doomsday is out of Lex Luthor's control now, thanks to Lois Lane. Now, whether we see Doomsday again or not is another question. I think we will. A lot of people seem to think we won't see him. We obviously don't see him this week, but I think we will see him again. But maybe in a bit of a different, not different way, but like he's there for a different reason, if that makes sense. But overall, this episode was, like, I thought we might have been getting another episode where it was sort of not planting the seeds for stuff going forward, but it wouldn't be as eventful and, like, overly, like, dramatic, if you want to put it. Like, I wasn't expecting what came at the end of the episode at the very least, but it definitely sets up the character of Lex Luthor really well heading into the final few episodes, and just, like, I guess how straight on he's going to be in regards to achieving what he wants to achieve, which we still don't know exactly what that's going to be, like what his end goal is exactly. That's what we for maybe next week's episode to decide. But then again, they might leave that till episode 8 or 9 to really delve into that like deeper. But this was a big episode for not only Lex, but I think that just the Kent family, well, Smallville as a whole, probably for everyone, really. It was a fairly big episode story-wise for everyone. But we start off the episode with, there's only one way to describe it. This is Luthor crashing out. Like, this is Luthor completely losing it, just getting rid of anything reminding him of his daughter Elizabeth, punching walls, just going mental, just having a complete crash out, a complete breakdown. It was actually very interesting to watch. Because I wasn't too sure if he, like, obviously Elizabeth on her side was like, well, I'm out here. I'm out of here. I wasn't too sure if we were going to get it from his side of things, but we did see that. But shortly after seeing him crash out, he is visited by Amanda McCoy, who is just bringing him sort of like Luthorcorp issues that he has to sort of address. But he does ask her to tell Milton to make something for him, and it just looked like a, like, I remember pausing it when it came on screen. I was like, what the hell? It just looked like a, you know, like an indicator sort of thing. I wasn't really too sure what it was. For some reason, I thought it was something that would be like, be able to stun Superman, which I guess it is, but it isn't exactly what it ended up being at the end of the episode. But we do get to see Clark and Lois in full-on investigative mode, which is pretty cool, in order to take down Lex. And in turn, we also see Jonathan in full Superboy mode, and he's literally flying around the world. He's being referred to as Superboy. There's even like a, I don't know if it was TikTok, but I guess it's meant to be like the in-universe version of TikTok that Jordan was scrolling through, and we see all the different situations where Jonathan is saving them and they're calling him Superboy and stuff like that, which makes me think we probably aren't too far off a proper suit for not only Jonathan but also Jordan, considering what happens at the end of this episode. So hopefully maybe that happens in this week's upcoming, or like the episode after this, episode 7, but that's a wait and see, of course. But yeah, seeing Clark and Lois in the full investigative mode was cool. I don't know how. I am interested to see, considering how this episode ends, whether we continue that, or that was just sort of like, it makes sense that they were doing it early on this episode, but I don't know if we keep seeing it. I think we might, but that's a wait and see, of course. Now, we do get Lana getting an emergency call from her office, and I actually thought it was going to be like one of like someone gone in and like trashed it or something like that. But she gets there and it's Lex. He's standing there waiting for her, and he isn't happy with the boundaries being put upon him by Lana. Like she's just making it extremely difficult for him to do anything, like buy property, sort of transfer property, just organize building things, just making it impossible. And Lex gives like, it wasn't like a very thinly veiled threat, and almost like a warning of sorts to Lana, like, hey, just let me do my thing. And Lana's obviously not going to allow him to do that. Is she? But speaking of Lex, we do get Lois confronting Amanda McCoy, giving her a warning on the downward spiral Lex is on, and also revealing the information about the stuff with Elizabeth last week, or in last episode, that she wasn't aware of at that point. So obviously Amanda feels she's being left in the dark at that point. But I think we're going to see something bad happen to Amanda, considering that she just won't leave Lex's side, which is of course confirmed by the end of the episode. But I think this episode was a big one in regards to her making her choice in regards to that. And I think she might meet a bit of a not great end, considering that, because it's weird because I don't think anything this season has like necessarily like labeled her as a bad person. It's just more that she's loyal to Lex Luthor, and I don't necessarily think that makes you a bad person unless you do bad things, and we haven't yet seen her do that bad thing. And I wonder if that's going to come. So that will be interesting. But speaking of Lex Luthor, once again, he's trying to buy up property in Smallville for like large amounts. Like I think they said like 5 times the amount of what property was actually worth. And this is in order to sort of like move Luthorcorp into that area. And Clark and Lana do team up to sort of stop it. And the residents, like, I sort of well, hold on, like I'm living in Smallville. It's not this like amazing town in regards to like, it's a dwindling town, like a lot of like, I guess, smaller towns in America, like small country towns in America, or rural towns in America are. Like there's less opportunities and everything like that. There's less money. So when an offer like that comes, you're going to be extremely tempted, even if it's just someone paying you double the amount, let alone 5 times. But obviously Clark and Lana get in there to try and stop it, and they are fairly successful. But even before this, there was a couple of incidences, like when Clark was at the convenience store and was buying hair dye, because Lois mentioned that he was getting some salt and pepper in his hair, going a bit grey. And then also when Coach Gaines came and sat with Jonathan and Jordan, the residents are seeming to get onto not just Superman's secret, but the family's secret, that Superman has powers, that Jonathan and Jordan have powers. So it's obviously like this thing where the people that were there that witnessed that stuff on the night are maybe mentioning it to other people. So I think we're building up to, I don't even know if we will even get to the series finale. This might happen next week, like next episode, or maybe by episode 8, where everyone in Smallville knows that Clark is Superman, and it's just, he addresses it. I do wonder if that happens. But Lex does confront some of the Smallville residents who have denied him offers. It gets heated. The Smallville residents sort of like get in defense mode, I guess you could say. And Lex, it ended up, I think it was like $10 million to the lady there for her place, just as like a off the cuff quick, like, hey, like whatever he was paying her before, like here's just $10 million, because he wanted to make a statement, and she still declined the offer. So Lex is getting very triggered because I think he thought it was going to be much easier, and he probably didn't realize not stranglehold, but the strong foot that the Kent family have in Smallville, and maybe like that the fact that the residents do back up each other. So yeah, he's struggling to make ground in Smallville, unfortunately, at least unfortunately for him. But Amanda does confront Luthor about the recent events, including being left in the dark with the whole Elizabeth situation. And Luthor is sort of like, hey, okay, I was going to tell you eventually, but things are just happening fairly quickly. But he comes up with like a pretty much like a ultimatum to Amanda. It's like, it's me or them. So who can I side with? And she goes off. She goes off with that thing. And I think it'd be a very interesting thing to think of what would happen in the episodes to come. Amanda, by the time she comes back at the end of the episode, came back with a different decision, because I think Lex needs guidance, if you want to put it, or at least someone to bounce off. So it would have been interesting to see what would happen there. And also, like, he probably doesn't want to interact too much with the Luthorcorp people, and Amanda is sort of his middle ground, like middle person there. So that definitely would have changed, I think, the outcome of where his story, and I think the story as a whole for the season, would have gone if Amanda made a different decision, which we'll talk about at the end. Now, they do set up Sarah's exit from Smallville, where she's talking to Jordan, and Jordan's like, talking about like what she wants to do, and that she can leave Smallville. She's not like, chained by the foot to like the downtown Smallville main street or something like that. She has the ability to go and do stuff, whether it's outside of Smallville or outside of the country, which sets up this whole thing about her going overseas to do like travel study and everything like that, which is obviously was setting up just her leaving the show. But we will talk about that at the end of the episode, because they actually, I thought they were setting it up for the end of the season, not the end of the episode. So we'll talk about that later when that actually, properly happens in the episode. But we actually do have Clark accepting the changes coming to him now, which we were talking about before with like the salt and pepper hair, but also how he was talking about just the general things where he feels like he's aging. And I'm just intrigued to see where this goes over these next handful of episodes, because we know that he can't use his powers too much. So I think we are going to get, like, I did see a part of the trailer for next week. It was just a quick one where it was like him ripping his shirt and showing the Superman suit underneath. Obviously he's going to use his powers then. But I'm interested to see if like we do spend like most of the remaining episodes up until the series finale with him still being Superman in like that role, if you want to put it, but really maybe developing Jordan and Jonathan, just because he can't use his powers that much. And we're probably on a thing where it's like a battery and it's not rechargeable. So he's got to really be picking and choosing his moments to use his powers. And I think that's going to come to the point where in the finale, he's going to have to, and that will be the last time he actually properly uses his powers as Superman. Not his powers as a whole, like he'd probably still be able to lift a couch and stuff like that, or float in the air if he wanted to. But in regards to actually being in like full on hero mode, the series finale is the last time he'll do that. Now we did get the big moment in the episode, I guess you could say, or like the big stretch of moments in this episode where Lana is attacked in her home after she wakes up and just smells this gas leak, and she goes out there and she's attacked by Otis Grisham, of course one of Luthor's goons who is in prison with him. Sarah does come to the rescue, knocking him out with the old metal baseball bat, which wouldn't be fun to take to the old head, so he gets knocked out. The Kent family does arrive, and we do have Clark and Lois talking to Lana, and Clark pretty much hits the breaking point. This has gone too far. It's not just him, it's not just his family. Like him, the fact that his family was involved was too far. Now it's just affecting the ordinary residents of Smallville. And this also stems from that earlier part in like when Lex Luthor was having his offers declined by the citizens of Smallville. It's like, no, well, you're not taking my place. Even if you offer me $10 million, you're not getting it. It's gone too far. Clark's going to make a stand for just everyone in Smallville, not just him or not just his family, but everyone now. And we do have Clark leaving Lana's house without warning, which is always a sign of, Clark's got business to deal with. And he's in downtown Smallville calling out for Lex, shouting for him. Like, it was, I haven't seen it before from this version of Superman, like such like a ferocious, like he was legitimately furious, like really, really angry. And it was sort of surprising. I wasn't expecting it in that sort of way. And Lex has one of the devices that Milton made that we'd seen earlier on. I was wondering what it was going to do. I thought it might have been something, as I said before, to like stun Superman, like it was a really loud thing, like a sonic device, and it would stun Superman to an extent. But no, it actually makes the street lamps in downtown Smallville turn red and dampen Superman's powers. So we have Lex and him coming face to face. Angry Clark is almost talking like Batman. He's in like Batman mode of sorts. But because of the dampening, they're going to fight. And it's a fair fight. And Lex does have the upper hand earlier on. Like he's got Clark in a headlock. Seems to be beating Clark fairly well. But then Clark, aka Superman, does turn the tables and ends up winning, knocking out Superman. But it does push Superman to a point where Clark to a point where he didn't want to be. So I do wonder what that is like when we go into the next couple of episodes. And also, like, even though the powers were dampened, does Clark putting all that energy into fighting Lex Luthor like that, does that harm him because of the heart issue and stuff like that? Maybe we see that. Maybe he has no issue at all because the powers were dampened and he was just acting like a normal dude. So maybe he has no issue at all. But Lex does lose, and he does admit later on that like he didn't expect him to still be that powerful. He still thought that like, hey, okay, well, he's got his powers dampened, I should be able to beat him. But obviously proves that Superman over these years has learned how to fight even without like Kryptonian super strength. Now, Lana does agree to allow Sarah to go overseas to study, and this involves having a quick moment with Jordan and Jonathan before she says goodbye, and this actually leads to Sarah getting her first flying experience as they fly to Greece or something quickly. I can't remember what it was, but that's what I did. I thought this might have been something leading into the end of the series. Like I thought Sarah would be in like another episode or two, and then in the series finale, that's where she's going. No, she's going now after this episode. So we know she's in the series finale, so I'm interested to see why she comes back. I guess maybe there's just a time jump because it's just timing where she comes back in time for whenever that series finale is. Because they can, schedule the episodes if you want to put it all, time the episodes where like between episode 6 and 7 there's a week, between episode 7 and 8 there's a month. Like they could do that if they wanted to, and it lines up with Sarah coming back. Because we do know she's in the series finale, but we'll wait and see that. But yeah, this should be the last we see Sarah, I'd assume, until the series finale, because we know she's in that episode. But to finish off the episode, we do have Luthor vacating the hotel in Metropolis, and Amanda arrives at Luthorcorp, in Lex's place in Luthorcorp, and does choose to side with him. And she has a new plan for Lex. She has a new plan for Lex, saying a killer suit. Now, this could mean just the business suit, but also the exo suit, like the super suit, like John Henry's thing. And from the trailer that we know, like the mid-season trailer we got, was it 2.5 weeks ago, whatever, we know that we're led to believe at the very least is John Henry's suit, because it has the bug thing on the, well, for us, right side, but if you're wearing the suit, the left side of the suit. So we can assume that he steals it off John Henry in some way, shape or form. How he gets it, I don't know. But this is what I mean. Like, I think if Amanda hadn't sided with Lex, I think he goes down a bit more of a frenetic path, if you want to put it, in regards to dealing with Superman. But I think Amanda will keep him in check and keep him in course, to the point where, like, we do get the clean-shaven Lex Luthor that we see in the other trailers and stuff like that. But I think we're still going to get Lex Luthor acting pretty brash, despite Amanda having some sort of influence and control there. But overall, a really solid episode. That fight between Lex and Superman, or Lex and Clark, it's really Lex and Clark, I guess, was great. And I think the lead up to that was really well done. As I said, we're led to believe Sarah is in the series finale, so it's not a goodbye to the character. So we should see her still in the series finale, maybe episode 9 as well. I don't know. But I think they set that up fairly well for her. It was rushed. You can't deny that it was rushed, just her leaving. But it is what it is. You know, the short and final season. So what can you do? But yeah, I'm very interested to see where we go in the next handful of episodes, especially this dynamic between Clark and Lex now, because the dynamic has really been Lois and Lex for most of this season, but now there's really a rivalry between those two. So very interested to see where that goes, specifically next week, but just for the rest of the season. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions and everything we went over this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.